When I was making my debut as an artist, I felt that it was very important that I tried to combine the background of my own culture, my people, and the country into the contemporary art world. So that's how I came up with the term superflat. Takashi Murakami. Ladies, gentlemen, and variations thereupon, this is Modern Escapism. Hello, my name is Oodles, the host with the most, haunted by the ghost that is a hangover. Today, I am joined by Biggie, a man that always puts out on the first date.
Hello.
His podcast editing debut sent shockwaves around the internet. So massive, he had to apologise for being so good. It's Gadget.
I mean, I have to apologise for being involved in this shit show every week.
He was once described by the Yorkshire Evening Post as the most explosive wrestling debut athlete since Chris Jericho. Then he woke up. It's Stig.
Hello.
And last, but by no means least, please welcome her debut as an official full-time cast member of Modern Escapism, finally doing something with her life that her family can be proud of. It's Candy Machine.
All right, babbers.
All right, me lover.
It only just clicked, actually, before you said that. I was like, oh, this is Candy's actual debut. Like,
It works, doesn't it?
For full time, yeah, so it works really well.
It works. This week's been a very busy week for us all. We have launched our Patreon to mild success. We've had an extensive, should I say, Twitter campaign, social media push. It's been brilliant. Do you want to explain to us, to the listeners, what's actually been happening, Stig?
Yeah, sure. So as you said, this week we've launched our Patreon. So thank you everyone who signed up for that.
Yes.
Various bundles on there, as you can see on the website. And we also launched our first episode of Do Dragons Dream of Scorched Sheep?
Absolutely.
We've had some good feedback from that already. So we're really, really, really happy that people are listening to that and enjoying it already. More to come.
Someone said it was better than Critical Role. They also admit they hadn't heard Critical Role. But I'm going to take the first bit of it. I'm going to put that on the poster.
Absolutely.
Yes, I'm going to take that. It's better than Critical Role. ... Forget the rest of the quote.
Yeah, it's weird. Exactly, it's weird because I can listen to Scotch Sheep easier than I can listen to this main show because it's just us chatting. With Scotch Sheep, it's more of an adventure, obviously, and we're acting and stuff. It's just, for me, listening to myself, it's a lot easier to listen, so I enjoy it.
You're also on Dragon Soup and you don't remember recording it.
No. So it's all good.
It is weird, actually, like listening back. I really enjoy it. Even though we did it and I was there, I already know what happened. It was really enjoyable listening back to it and hearing it again.
Same.
So.
Excellent. So I'm very proud of Gadget's edit because it's not just a peek behind the curtains for everyone. It's not just editing like a normal show with that. He's editing upwards to nearly a 5-hour podcast of us idiots not knowing how to do it.
Yep.
And it's just an absolute. I love it, man. I love the production. I love the background music. I love everything about it. If you're not even into Dungeons and Dragons, you're doing yourself a disservice not to just listen to that first episode because you'll understand it because we're all virgins to it. So, do you know what I mean? Join in.
Yes.
It's incredible. I love it. And I am blowing our own trumpets.
Well, I'm just looking forward to developing as well as a player because obviously it's early doors for most of us. We'll just get into the swing of how it all works and start to develop as a player. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to where Gadget takes us on that, really.
Oh, yeah. Some dark places by the looks of
it.
Oh, I have ideas.
I don't like his Twitter posts. Yeah, I don't like his Twitter post because he's like, that's a great idea. What can I throw at these guys? Like, yeah.
Terrifying.
He did just make a very sinister face then as well. It frightens me.
No, that's just my face.
So, yes, let's start as we mean to go on with Biggie. What have you been up to this week, boy?
There's a few things I want to mention, but they're really quick as well.
Okay.
I finished 2 games this week.
No way.
Which blew my mind. Gris was absolutely fantastic.
incredible, isn't it?
I've been playing that with my daughter mainly, but I finished it. What was it? Last night? Was it last night? It was last night. And loved it. Just incredible. I could go on and on and on about it, but just the soundtrack, the visuals, the game mechanics, simple platforming, but done so well. Just really genius little puzzles. But the emotion got me. Like Stiggy and Gadget and everybody else, Oodles, I think, as well, have been singing its praises before. Soundtrack is just amazing. Really gets you going. Just I implore you to play it. If you haven't, you must. It's a must
I wouldn't
play.
have touched it if it wasn't for word of mouth from Stig.
Yes.
At all. But yeah, it goes beyond just. It's not just art, is it? There's pure emotion there, and it's I love it.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
I think everyone can take something. I think everyone can take something different from the story as well. The way you sort of read into it can relate to everyone, can't it, on different levels?
Yeah, I saw somebody mention that they thought it represented fear. I could see that. I thought it seemed to aim more about depression, anxiety to me. But
I got loneliness from it.
Yeah, it's interesting that people pick up on it differently, which I hadn't really thought about. I just took my own impression, thought that's what they were aiming for. So, yeah, no, absolutely bang on there. Second one I finished was What Remains of Edith Finch.
Great game.
Another banger.
I was just, about 3/4 of the way through. You guys mentioned it a couple of times in the pod, and I was like, yeah, I must finish that. So it was really, really nice to just get that out of the way as well. Again, really nice, really sad story as well. It's needs something to play up. Something
bit sweet, that one, isn't it?
Yeah, I need to play something like The Last of Us Part 2 or something just to cheer up. But they've just really, really great games. Really excellent.
Yeah. Maybe you should play a Lego game next week.
They're too depressing.
But yeah, the main thing I wanted to talk about though was the release of technically their second album, which I've barked on about these guys a couple of times before on the pod, and it's Children of Zeus.
You're sponsored by these guys, aren't you?
No, I generally I just like supporting them. I discovered them via the Hip Hop Saved My Life podcast. Ramesh Ranganathan.
Love it.
Rodney P came on one week and he was talking about his life and stuff, and Ramesh said, who would you recommend to listen to? And he just mentioned them out of all the things he could have mentioned. So I thought, well, I better check them out, and it was fantastic. Really glad I did. Been to see them live twice. Their latest album came out on Friday. They're from Manchester. They've actually been in the business separately for over 20 years. They happened to have a random meeting, realised that they were very similar in taste and background and stuff like that. And they've just released 2 incredible albums plus an EP of stuff that they did while they were building up to their first album. It's just the best way I thought somebody described it was as soul food. The music encompasses hip hop, neo soul, gospel, and R&B. Just really great. Tyler Daly, he's got the soulful voice. Connie's the main rapper, although Tyler does rap as well. But they just combine really well. Just fantastic musically. Every album links together, and this one's called Balance, and it feels like it is a balance. It feels like this journey through their career so far, it feels like they've just got to this point, which is almost like a perfect balance of what they do, where their influences are. And I just ask anybody that's got any inclination of interest to check them out.
Cool. Excellent. You've gone on about them for a while now, so yeah, I think it's about time I should check it out. Absolutely. It's
difficult because I know you guys aren't technically really into that music as such, but for me, it's one of those things. It's like, I don't know who your favourite bands are, that it's corny to say it, but kind of like speak to you. And when I heard these guys, it was like, it was something about them.
Instant click. It just clicked
I just connected with them, and I was like, I know who these guys are.
What's the song you would recommend listening to off the album to get into it?
The main song they just released, No More Love Songs, is really cool.
Skeletons in every closet, and elephants in every room, and no rationale or no logic, no, just emotionally consumed.
kind of encompasses again their sort of soul that comes out. Then there's a little rap in about the second verse, but it just gives you an idea of what their music is like. Just amazing. That's what I would recommend. But I think all the songs are good, and in fact, there's not a single track on this current album that will make you want to skip. It's that good.
They're rare, those albums that have just everyone's a banger.
Yep, absolutely.
Cool. Thank you very much for that. Stig, what you been doing?
I played and finished Resi 8.
Finally.
Hey.
Did that in I had other games to finish first, so I smashed through that this week. That's really good, isn't it?
Yeah, we were right, weren't we?
Yeah. For a game that seemed to be solely marketed on big, tall lady vampire, it has a lot more to it and a lot more in it, which was quite surprising. But
you enjoy the dollhouse.
Yeah, the dollhouse was the worst part about it, but not in a shit way, in a scared the crap out of me way. The rest of the game I didn't really find that scary, but there's that one section is just it's just like, for fuck's sake.
I wouldn't say it's a horror game. Like me and Gadget were saying last time, it's a gothic fantasy game.
Yeah, it mixes so many different genres up, doesn't it? Like it's completely.
It's Van Helsing, basically.
Yeah, there's so much stuff going on in different areas of the game. But yeah, it was really good. I watched the new Spiral film from the Book of Saw.
Oh.
Don't bother.
No.
That's all I can say.
I've still not seen any of the Saw films. We've had this discussion before, I think, on the show.
The quality of them has been on a downward spiral anyway.
Hey. Basically, it feels like somebody's tried to make a 7 clone for the modern era, probably realised that this won't sell to the masses. What can we do to draw people in? I know, we'll tack Saw onto it.
Ah, right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't very good. Chris Rock was all right, and actually quite enjoyed him in the lead, but...
was he being serious then, not funny?
There's a few jokes in there, but for the majority of it, he's being serious, yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah, he was all right in it, but the rest was pretty poor. I'm just speeding through these until we get to my main one, really.
It's fine.
I actually found out this today. This is really weird because I thought, for no particular reason at all, I want to listen to some Rise Against. Put them on Spotify. Turns out they had a new album out 2 days ago.
Nice timing.
I was like, that's very good timing. I'm really,
Maybe it's like subliminal marketing, like
you don't know about it.
Incepting ideas of, hey, I haven't listened to this band in a while. Hey, look, there's a new album.
Yeah,
the algorithm's got into your brain.
Yeah, it must have done, because it wasn't like there was anything there going, listen to Rise Against the new album or anything like that. It was just like, do I start fancy some Rise Against? Yeah, so it's come out, 4th of June. It's called Nowhere Generation. If you're into Rise Against, specifically the last 3 or 4 albums, it very much sounds like that rather than their earlier stuff, which is a bit more punky, but it's just typical Rise Against, really.
Still plenty of shouting, yeah?
Very political and socially charged lyrics and songs. So there's a lot of good messages in there, and it was actually it's quite a really good. It's a really good album, but like I said, it sounds very much like the last 3 albums. So if you enjoyed them, you'll enjoy this. I've only listened to it once, so there's nothing in there yet that I can pick out that I can say that's a banger or anything like that. But I just stuck that on today and enjoyed that. And the main thing I want to talk about this week, which I know Candy is also wanting to talk about, is Cruella. So we've both watched that.
All right, you give me your thoughts, then we'll move over to Candy and we'll see if there's any opposing opinions.
So as a film, it's one that didn't really need to be made. Do you know what I mean? She's one of like history's most iconic villains. Like I class her up there as an iconic villain for me. Like everyone knows who Cruella de Vil is, and what she wanted to do was pretty heinous: kill a lot of dogs and make a fur coat out of them. It's not really a nice thing to do, is it? Like, so
not really.
Do you need a film which kind of gives her a redemption arc and paints her in a good light? No. Having said that, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
They did that recently though with Maleficent and stuff, didn't they?
Yeah, but they were shit.
Oh, were there?
Many others would disagree with you, Stig.
Oh, the first one's okay.
I've never seen them, but I know it's like trying to turn a baddie into a goodie type thing.
Who plays Cruella?
Emma Stone.
Oh, okay.
So, I didn't like Maleficent films at all. In all honesty, I thought they were terrible. But this, I really enjoyed it. It gets a little bit soap opera-esque towards the end, but there's still a lot of laugh out loud moments in it. I enjoyed the hijinks and the high stuff they have littered throughout. Emma Stone and Emma Thompson are having an absolute blast. You can tell, like,
Emma Thompson's in it. Nice.
Yeah, so Emma Thompson is like she's the bad guy. She plays this egocentric, what are they called? A fashion icon.
Oh, so it's the Devil Wears Prada then, yeah?
Essentially, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, very similar, but with Cruella.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, they're both absolutely hamming it up, like, beautifully. They're so good. And
sometimes that's enjoyable to watch, though, isn't it? Chewing the scenery. And
I quite liked Horace and Jasper as well. Had a bit more about them rather than just being stupid henchmen. There's actually a bond between the three of them. There's a story.
I didn't even know they had names in the cartoon.
Yeah, because she's always shouting at them.
Oh, mate, I saw it about 30 years ago. Do you know what I mean?
But yeah, and the dogs, they have a few dogs in their crew which are absolutely brilliant, especially the little, I think it's a Chihuahua. Is it a Chihuahua?
Wink.
A Wink, yeah. I don't know, I can't remember what dog it is, but he's like great. But like, yeah, just the costumes, the aesthetics, set design, everything like that is like proper fantastic. And I don't really know if this is going to lead into essentially 101 Dalmatians, or it's kind of going to be a different timeline. Like a different, you know what I mean? Like a different kind of story.
101 Dalmatians Earth 2?
No, like they've taken Cruella, but they've done a different story with her, rather than her going from what we see in this film to what we know she becomes later in life. Because Anita and Roger don't really work in this film like they do in the 101 Dalmatians. It's all set up differently, so it's too long. Could have had about
too long.
Could have had about 20 minutes taken out of it, but I really enjoyed it. Perfectly fun film.
Excellent. So we'll move on to Candy. I'm sure you want to put a little bit of your spin on that, Cruella.
Yeah, did you just call me Cruella?
No, the film Cruella.
It sounded like you were calling her Cruella.
No.
Feel attacked.
No.
Yeah, as Stig said, I mean, I think the one letdown really was just the story. It was almost as if Disney put a bunch of writers in a room and sort of said, we're making this anyway, so write a story. And they did the sort of fairly tired trope now of trying to make you sympathise with the baddies, which I'm not sure. I think sometimes, I know kids need to be taught about maybe seeing both sides of the story, but you also need to learn that some people are just assholes as well.
Yeah.
That said, I did really enjoy it. It sounds like it's a negative review, but I really, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing it at the cinema. Visually, it's absolutely stunning. It sort of reminded me of almost like a Ryan Murphy directed film in some ways, like their use of colour. And there was one scene in particular, there was a back and forth between Cruella and the Baroness, and they had sort of red behind the Baroness and green behind the Cruella. I thought that was quite interesting. The costumes were just absolutely stunning, and they're surely going to win an award for some of the fashion in it was great. The soundtrack was amazing too. I don't know if you noticed, but it's actually set in the 70s rather than, I think the original one was set in the 30s or 40s.
Yeah, after World War I, before World War II or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, so this is in the 70s, and it's got all the 70s bangers in there. Actually, to a point, it felt like it was almost like a music video. It just went from one banger to the next.
Oh, like Suicide Squad?
A little bit, yeah.
But good.
They were great character actors as well. The whole cast, they were absolutely brilliant. I can't think of one weak performance in that.
Cool.
Yeah, but the one letdown was the story. They made a sort of a problem child and sort of led you to believe certain things that ended up, going a slightly different way. At one point, I thought they'd actually dared to go really dark with the story. There was sort of one scene, and they managed to sort of wuss out of it as only Disney would. They can't have horrible things happening. Again, like Stig said, I think it could have been 30 minutes shorter. It came to a sort of natural crescendo, and then it just sort of carried on afterwards.
Yeah.
I thought that the reveal was bit shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean about soap opera-esque. It was a bit like that wasn't needed.
Okay.
I mean, to be fair, was the film needed in general? I mean, Cruella de Vil, either in the cartoon or the live-action remake with Glenn Close, she's not a complicated character. She's just an arsehole.
Yeah, she's just evil.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like I said, it's not needed. It's just that it's like, what property, what character can we do a spin-off of and make it work? And like Candy said, just due to the way it looks and the way everyone's acting and stuff, it makes it work as a film.
Yeah.
Even if it's not really needed.
Well, excellent. Anything else you've done this week then, Candy?
I started playing Mass Effect.
For the first time?
For the first time. So I've got no nostalgia for the original. So getting into it, I haven't got particularly far, and I'll cover it on a later episode.
Don't feel modern, does it?
No, it does not. Yeah, so far it hasn't really grabbed me, but so many people rate it so highly, I'm just going to stick with it. It feels a little bit janky. I've got stuck in a few lots, but I'm quite used to that. So
it kicks into gear, don't worry.
Yeah. I think I'll probably be carrying on with that this week, and next week I'll have something a bit more substantial to talk about that.
Excellent. And anything else?
Nope, that's it for me.
Brilliant. So, Gadget, you've been doing, hon?
A couple of quick things, because it's not been the most eventful of weeks. Last night, Pip and I watched Mitchell's versus the Machines.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking brilliant film.
So good, isn't it?
It's still on my to watch list, and I still haven't got
how good is that? I will not spoil it because it's so good, but how good is the thing in the mall?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Fucking brilliant. Every single second of that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's one of those few times where I think product placement works.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, absolutely fantastic. Banging soundtrack, really good performances. It's a rare film with Danny McBride in that I liked. And I liked Danny McBride in it. Because I find him as one of those actors that every time I see he's in something, I like it less. Case in point, Alien Covenant.
Is it because you couldn't see him?
Possibly. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the little, I kind of want to call it like animation ticks that they put in for like representing people's emotions or representing characters' actions and stuff like that. Where you get these little bits of like hand drawn exclamations of things. I really like the art style of it as well because it's a mix of kind of very chunky looking 3D, like almost like the Fortnite art style. But then it's got these little kind of flourishes of hand-drawn stuff within it as well. And it's just a really beautifully made film. There's the bits involving the machines is just pure Tron. It's fucking brilliant. There's two side character robots that I won't spoil what their job is in the story, but they're absolutely amazing. The pug might actually be better than the chicken in Moana.
Oh, I told you it was.
You did say that, didn't you? You did.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I didn't catch that. Fuck off, Siri.
Yeah, Siri wants to know.
Yeah, and this one's just a very specific thing that I noticed, and I'm going to say this about four of our listeners will understand what I'm saying here. But the dad and the son in it really give me vibes of Daryl and Payden from Dungeons and Daddies, which are two of the characters in that. If you've listened to Dungeons and Daddies and you watch it, you'll know what I mean. But
nice.
Yeah, it's really, really worth your time. It's like. It's the only downside. I think it's maybe about 15 minutes too long. Like I think it could be just a little bit tighter.
It keeps happening that though with films, doesn't it? It keeps happening.
Yeah. You didn't mention this before, Stig, as well. And Olivia Colman plays the baddie.
Really?
What's Olivia Colman doing turning up in this film? The Oscar-winning Olivia Colman in the particular role that she's in.
Did I not mention that? I thought I mentioned she was in it, but. Oh well.
Yeah, no, you didn't mention she was playing the baddie.
He edited you for hours. He knows.
I listened to a spoiler special on it this week, and the director was saying, the bit where they go just halfway through, they're on that. They go on the trail, and I think they go on like a donkey trail or something. And and the bit with the river. And he was just like, oh yeah, like they wanted to get rid of that because apparently it cost as much as of about 15 minutes worth of other film, like because it just cost them so much just for that one gag. And he's just like, no, I'm not losing that gag. It's like, wow. It's a great gag.
Really good gag.
Yeah, it's a very good gag. Yeah,
absolutely worth it. But yeah. Watch that. It's on Netflix, and yeah, it's absolutely worth a couple of hours of your life. But the other thing I'll talk about, and I don't have much to talk about in detail about it, is I started playing Octopath Traveler this week.
Oh, my condolences.
Really, I'm enjoying it.
I don't like it.
I know you don't. You don't like it because it's not Dragon Quest, though.
If it was called Dragon Quest hyphen Octopath Traveler,
Octoquest Traveler.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be into it. So Octopath Traveler, it's a JRPG kind of in the, ironically enough, Dragon Quest / Final Fantasy style. It's what makes it kind of a bit unique is that it's got this really beautiful art style where all the background is generated in kind of this pixelated yet but 3D, very intricate detail environments, and the characters that you play are 2D sprites that sit on top. And there's lots of like really fancy graphical stuff going on with it, and it's just really pretty to look at.
It is.
I'm playing it on the Xbox as well, so it's in 4K and it's all lovely. The general run of it is you start off the game, there are 8 separate characters who have no involvement with each other's lives. You can pick whichever one of them you want to start with. And each of them has this kind of little chapter in whatever area that you find them, where they kind of have a little bit of a contextual story. Once you've rounded up all 8 of them, then I think the story kicks off proper. I think it's like a 50-60 hour game. I'm only about 8 hours into it, but and I've got 6 of the 4.
Yeah.
Sorry, six of the 8 characters so far. I really like it. It's a really pretty game. It's got a beautiful soundtrack. It's got a really interesting turn-based battle system where, unlike Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest or something where you take your turn, they take their turn, and you kind of knock them back and forth against each other. Enemies have a certain amount of like guard points or like kind of shield points. Yeah. And if you can work out the weaknesses in that and break through their shields, you can knock them out of commission for 2 or 3 turns. So everything becomes a bit tactical, because usually, like, you know, you'll have one enemy that's weak against fire in a fight, then maybe one that's not weak against like lightning or certain weapons, and you have to kind of balance out, okay, which one is the most dangerous one, which one's about to do an attack that I can knock out. It adds an extra layer of tactical play to what can become very stale with an active time battle system. Because I remember, and Big, you'll know this as well, like playing Final Fantasy VII, it gets to a point where you're literally just sparring back and forth for damage.
Yep.
And
a battle of attrition at some points, isn't it?
Yeah, or constantly relying on the same spells or the same attacks because you're min-maxing, and those are the ones that will just do the most damage at any given time. Whereas with this, like when you knock their shield off, like any attack that you put at them can become viable. So then, you know, you can hypercharge a certain attack and like do huge damage to them. Or, you know, the boss character will be charging up some really fucking brutal attack that'll like wipe out most of your team. And if you can just get those 3 hits on him to knock his shield off, you can save yourself from that. It's really, really interesting and a lot more tactical depth to it. So
it's based on the Saga series as well. That it's more in depth than Saga, but it's that kind of turn-based battle. But I like the battling in it. It was just the overall story in it. I mean, the thing is, some of the writing isn't great, and some of the writing suffers from the translation from Japanese to idiosyncratic Western. You can tell,
especially Hanet's dialogue, because the tribe that she's from, they have this rather overwrought and kind of over embellished form of English that they speak. Yeah. But my favorite one of the characters, Cyrus, he's
by far the best.
He is by far the best, but there is this absolutely boneheaded bit of writing with him. So when you, I'm going to spoil this. When you meet him, he's a lecturer at an academy, and he's teaching this the kind of the local crown's princess and her friend, and just teaching about general history of the world. And the princess's friend, the other girl that he's teaching, obviously has a crush on him.
Yeah,
and she tries to. When he's giving more attention to the princess, because the princess is asking him questions, she gets jealous. So she goes to the head of the school and says, "Oh, I think the Professor Cyrus is having a rather inappropriate relationship with the princess." And so it's a whole hoity-toity thing. And eventually it gets him kind of kicked out of the school. And as he's leaving, she confronts him and apologizes for it because she just wanted more attention from him. And He's okay with it.
He is. That's what's fucking weird.
in the dialogue,
Don't
she says,
worry,
I'm so sorry. Yeah, he says, oh, don't worry. It just means that you're a curious one, and I should have been paying more attention to you. It's like, no, this is some
you got me sacked.
bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, on what level of idiot is Cyrus? He's
The thing is, I played as Cyrus. He was my main character, so I was fuming all the way through that game. I lost my job.
Yeah, but it's on Game Pass. If you've got an Xbox or a PC, give it a try. You know, if you've ever had any inclination towards a Final Fantasy game or a Dragon Quest game, I enjoy it. I really like it, and I really like the slight twist on the combat system, which gives you a bit more function.
There is a bit more to it.
Yeah, some of the writing is dodgy, but I mean, what JRPGs had a perfect translation, you know?
Dragon Quest 11.
Final Fantasy 7.
No, it's not.
Final Fantasy 7 did
No,
not
it's
have a perfect translation.
One of the worst.
There were documentaries made about how bad its translation is. But give it a try. Octopath Traveler, it's really good. I really like it.
Excellent. Thank you very much, good sir. I have been to the pub. I don't know if you can tell the timbre of my voice.
I think at this point, it's probably easier to say when you haven't been to the pub.
I've been to the pub.
And also, you covered it at the beginning of the pod.
Have we got, recently past 2 weeks without one of us being pissed?
No.
It's like a drunken baton, isn't it? We have to pass it around everyone.
Yeah.
So,
there's actually only passed between those two.
I'm going out again next week, so... But yeah. I got very drunk. I'm not going to regale you with my tale. I might discuss it later, if you know what I mean.
Patreon supporters.
There you go. A little bit of juice for you there. I'm about halfway through reviewing a game. Disclaimer, I was sent a review code of this. It's called King of Seas. Basically, does anyone remember Sid Meier's Pirates?
Yes, excellent game. In fact, I actually have it in my Steam library.
Yes, an absolutely incredible game. A classic. It's been updated quite a few times as well, hasn't it? It's been remastered, remade type thing. This is that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Immediately.
So imagine Sid Meier's Pirates, but a bit more story focused, a bit more narrative heavy. I mean, Sid Meier's Pirates wasn't exactly barren of story. Do you know what I mean? Depends which mode you play and stuff like that. But yeah, like I say, I'm only I'd say about 15 hours in due to being at the pub. So I can't fully...
You're unable to lift a controller.
Yeah. I got it on the Xbox, so it looks pretty. One issue I've come up against at the moment is, and I get why, it's a stylistic decision from the developers. It's a locked camera perspective, so you can zoom it in and out, but you can't move the camera around.
So you can basically see what you can see around the ship.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So I think they do that so you kind of get to know the seas, rather than having to rely on your map like an old-fashioned pirate would, wouldn't it? They get used to surroundings. That's that island, I know.
Well, no. Old-fashioned sailors definitely had that ability to zoom out from their ship and have a look over the entire ocean, and then go plant a marker in an island 400 miles away and go, that's where I want to go.
That's exactly what it does.
It's how the world was discovered first time
exactly, round. It's how Christopher Columbus found the New World. He just zoomed out from Spain and went, fucking hell, look at that over there.
That's a really tall crow's nest.
Yeah.
I mean, you get to choose your character at the beginning. I chose the plucky young boy Lukey. I'll give you a synopsis of what happens. So basically, he's a prince and he gets betrayed. I'm not going to tell you how and why. So he has to turn to piracy to redeem himself, and it is a vengeance tale fundamentally. And you basically just got to start from the bottom and work your way up to becoming what I assume to be a pirate legend and reclaim your birthright. You've got to do trading with other islands. You've got to, obviously, ship combat. You can't get off the ship. You are always the ship. The characters pop up like a digital novel style, where they're just talking to each other, still images.
Yeah.
But so far, it's good. I need to put a bit... I've got a feeling it's going to be longer than I anticipated. There's a lot to it, but yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I believe to buy, it's not a very expensive game either, which is always
like 20 quid or anything.
Yeah, which is always nice. If seriously though, if you did like Sid Meier's Pirates, I can tell that's what they were aping off that. You'll absolutely have a vested interest in this. So
I thought it was going to be along the lines of like Sea of Thieves or something.
Nothing like it at all. No, I don't think there's any multiplayer in it at all. Like I say, I'm just blasting through the story, but yeah, I really enjoy it. You'll hear more from it. I'm going to review it officially in writing, and that'll be available on my Twitter at some point. But yeah, that's all I've been doing. Apart from being in the pub, oh my word. Oh, it were red hot. Ooh. But yeah, let's move straight on. Biggie, what are we talking about this week?
This week, we're going to be discussing the best debuts. And speaking of which, it's Joe's, isn't it? Yay! Welcome to Joe on the pod.
Hello, everyone.
So we'll be talking about who in the world of cinema, TV, music writing, games, etc., everything that we talk about, came out of the blocks with an absolute banger.
Excellent. We're going to go around the clock that, as I see it, you guys obviously see it very different to me. We're going to start with Stig.
Always seems to be me, doesn't it?
It's just where you are in the Zoom recording.
Right, first off then, I'm going to go in straight with a sports one. So, Gadget, you can kind of switch off for a bit if you want. Yeah, have a little 5-minute sleep if you want.
Fair enough.
Noted.
I'm going to talk about the Egyptian king himself, Mohammed Salah.
I thought you would.
Because his first season with us, 2017 and 18, he broke the Premier League goal scoring record. He scored 44 goals in all competitions.
Crazy that.
And he was just instrumental in getting us to a Champions League final.
Yeah.
This isn't Salah's first go around in the Premier League. Several years before, I think it was around 2012, he actually signed for Chelsea and he pretty much flopped there.
I don't remember him there at all.
No one does.
No one does. He just happened
no impact.
to be, he just wasn't there. 2012-13 it was, because I remember he played in the game where Chelsea ruined our title bid. But yeah, so it's not his debut in the Premier League, but it was his debut for Liverpool, and everyone wrote him off. He's a Chelsea reject. Flopped in the Premier League before, he'll flop again. He only did well in Italy because the Italian league's not as good, and he just came out and showed everyone how amazing he is, and still does to this day. Still underappreciated by so many people, even though season after season he keeps banging them in. Amazing goals. He's well up there with the top goal scorer nearly every season. But this first season, honestly, it was just I went through and I watched a clip of all of his goals, and I started making notes of them, and I realised I can't just sit here and talk for all these goals because there's just too many. But he starts off by scoring a goal on his debut. In the first game of the league, first game of the season, he scores a goal, and then from then on, he just keeps getting better and better. Scores his first brace, which is 2 goals for those people who don't know. At West Ham away, he scores another 2 goals against Southampton the game after, one of them being a curling left foot shot from outside the keeper's area. He scores against Everton, which is always a good thing. So he has his back to the goal, he spins a defender, leaves the Everton player on his arse, and he turns the ball in with 3 Everton players surrounding him at the same time. He scores at this point in the season, when he scores another 2 goals against Leicester. At this point, he's also racked up multiple goals in the Champions League group stages to help us progress through that. And he then scores a lovely goal against Man City. He lobs the keeper from halfway inside City's own half. If you aren't into football, most people might know anyway, Man City are pretty much the dominant force in English football than they have been the last few years. So any time we or any other club kind of gets one over on them, it's an incredible feeling. They're a team they have a lot of money. So they've kind of bought their way up into the league. So anytime you beat them, it's great. He scores his first hat-trick against Watford in 5-0 drubbing. He actually scores 4 goals that game. So not only does he get his first hat-trick, but he scores 4. And then he scores a goal in the Champions League quarter-final against Man City, which pretty much seals our win into the semi-finals. And every time I watch that goal,
it's a beauty, innit?
He scores this goal and he runs off to the away fans and he just stands there with his arms out wide open like a god.
Come at me, bros.
And the crowd is going insane. It's an absolute let off. It's what, like, you ask Liverpool fans, it's one of those moments where like it's just limbs everywhere. It is like that means we've gone 4-1 up in the tie. We are going to the Champions League semi-final. In the semi-final, he scores another 2 goals against Roma to take us to the final. And then in the last game of the season, he scores 1 goal against Brighton to become the best Premier League goal scorer in a single season of all time. And it's just, I mean, there's so much more in there as well that I'd just be boring people. I can only see Gadget just eyes just glazed over.
Don't forget, he did edit the football episode we did.
Yeah. But yeah, just like that season, he comes in and we reach Champions League final. And yes, unfortunately, because he gets injured in that final early on, he goes off and we end up losing. And I am completely under the... Like, I believe we'd have won that final if he didn't go off injured because he was having the season of his life.
Yeah, he was the engine for that team for that year.
He was targeted in that game.
I totally agree.
He was taken out on purpose. People can say, you're just being biased because Liverpool...
No, it was a nasty tackle.
Yeah, he gets dragged to the ground. His arm and shoulder get slammed into the floor. He was taken out because they knew he was having such an amazing season and he's just there. He's like, I'm going to win the Champions League. Like, he's that good that season.
It seemed like that whole year he was doing it for himself as a proving. Do you know what I mean? It was good to see. Me being unbiased because it weren't anything to do. I'm not a Liverpool fan, but it were nice to see from afar. It seemed to be like he were proving it for himself.
Yeah,
and if you're going to do it at any club, do it at Liverpool because the fans
very
incredible.
Yeah, he's just he's amazing. People who like go bang on about him like. People just it's a one season wonder, and he's still doing it 4 or 5 years later.
He is.
Now,
yeah. He's a legend.
Yeah, I mean, this is the testament of the kind of person he is. He comes back stronger the next year. He doesn't get as many goals, but he goes on and wins the Champions League and scores in the final. So that season is just, I can't think of a better debut season in the Premier League from anyone, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's a good shout.
He's beaten record. He comes back to the Premier League and he beats the record set by the likes of Suarez, Rooney, and Shearer. So,
yeah. Okay. Excellent. Great sporting debut. No one can argue that. So, a counter to that, well, not even a counter, probably nothing to do with that. It's Gadget's turn.
Oh, yeah, absolutely nothing to do with that.
I love it if you said football.
Mohamed Salah.
Yeah. So I want to talk about Everton. No,
well, you can talk about the debut of when football started because that's about as best you're going to get.
Ooh, shots fired. First thing I want to talk about is it's a book.
Ooh,
and I'm only saying that because everyone likes the way I say book.
I do.
I do. Sends some tingles.
Book.
Are you aware of a young gentleman called Yahtzee Croshaw?
No.
Are you aware of a video series called Zero Punctuation?
Yes.
Yes, well, him.
He
writes books. And his first book was released in 2010. It's called Mogworld.
Mogworld?
Yeah, and it's an absolute fucking banger. It's one of the funniest fantasy books I've ever read. Mostly because it's an absolute piss take of World of Warcraft and MMOs in general.
Which needs it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They all take themselves far too seriously. Yeah. It's the story of Jim. Now, Jim is... I mean, Jim's a nice guy. He's also dead.
Oh.
Jim's a zombie.
Oh.
Jim's a zombie working for a necromancer. Now, Jim didn't want to be brought back from the dead, but the necromancer is a really good boss, gives them time off, they get hazard pay, all that kind of thing. And Jim's quite happy toiling away in this necromancer's big black tower of death. He's happy. It's a good death for him. And he gets rather upset when a bunch of marauding heroes come through and fuck everything up for him.
Oh dear.
And as the story goes on, it's gradually revealed that the Jim's world is a video game, and he's an NPC in it.
Oh,
Nice.
yes.
And yeah, it's such a wry take on the idea of online video games. It's a massive swipe at almost every fantasy trope in films, TV, and video games and books for the last 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
It's just really silly and it's really funny. And there's like, as Jim goes through the world, he's gradually being attacked by more and more people because he walks into a town and they're like, oh, he's a zombie. They don't realize that he's actually a really nice guy.
Oh.
They just see him as a zombie, so they attack him. So by the end of it, he's practically dragging his a third of his remaining body along the ground to try and get from place to place. And I'm not going to spoil the ending for it because the ending of it is really funny and actually quite. It puts like a bit of existential dread and thought into your head as well. But yeah, it's like I don't really have much to say about it because all I can do is just basically talk it up because it's been about 8 years since I read it. But it is really good. And it's one of those books that I see it on my bookshelf and every time I see it, I kind of giggle because I just remember little bits of it.
I've got books like that, yeah.
And I'm kind of like reminding myself of little bits and pieces of it off like TV tropes and stuff like that. Even just down to the way Yahtzee Crow Show names characters. So, for instance, the necromancer that brings Jim back is called Lord Brutus Deadgrave.
Love it.
There is a cleric who becomes part of his party who is called Thaddeus Praise His Name God Botherer the Third. Exactly, yeah. It's fucking weird, but like if you've seen Zero Punctuation, you know what Yahtzee Crow Show's style of humor is.
Dry.
His approach to comedy. Dry. It is so dry you need to have a drink on hand. You'll get dehydrated reading this. But yeah, it's usually cheap on Amazon. Like I remember I bought it for about £4 like a couple of years after it was published.
I've just put it on the list, so don't you worry.
Oh, it's absolutely worth it. And in fact, all of his books are worth reading. They're all really good. So like the follow-up that he had to this one was called Jam, which is where a character who lives in Melbourne wakes up one day, or it might be Brisbane, I forget, an Australian city, and wakes up one day to find that there is a 30-foot deep flood of killer jam covering the city.
I hate it when that happens.
Yeah, and like you walk near the jam and it reaches up and it pulls you in and eats you.
While you can also taste it while it's eating you.
It's strawberry scented death.
Not a bad way to go.
Yeah, and the other one that I would really recommend reading is We'll Save the Galaxy for Food. Bit of a Zap Brannigan-esque character who's down on his luck trying to scam his way into the big leagues again.
Okay, cool.
So as an author, he's really good, but Mogworld is an absolutely fantastic read. And especially if you like fantasy, it's a really good send-up of fantasy tropes.
Awesome. I'm going to add that to my list.
Yeah, I've just done that. Excellent.
Love
it. I love it. Excellent. So we'll move on to me now, because that's just how it looks on my screen. I'm going to talk about the first entry in a long-running series and the first ever video game to be dubbed a survival horror. I'm talking about Resident Evil.
Well, that wasn't the first game to be called survival horror. You know that, right?
No, it was. I've double-checked. I've cross-referenced. I've dotted the T's and crossed the I's. Or whatever.
What about Alone in the Dark?
No, this is the first time it's got coined. Trust me. Don't argue with me, boy.
I'll argue with you.
Well, if not the first, one of the first. But it's the debut in a long-running franchise which has 23 sequels and spin-offs. You all know what Resident Evil is. Even if you've never played a computer game in your life, you know what Resident Evil is. It's big. Basically, Resident Evil 1, released in 1996, it kind of revolutionised gaming for me. I mean, in 1996, I certainly wasn't old enough to play it. I don't think anyone here, apart from Biggie, would have been.
Still managed to, though.
Yeah, we still managed to, because it wasn't an issue in my house.
Because parents did not know.
Yeah, no one cared. And I've always loved the series since then. But the first one for me, it's just got that. And I'm talking about the original, not the remake that they did. The first one, which is in very brightly lit rooms. still managed to be quite scary. So I'm talking about the first time the dogs jumped through the window. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, one of the first jump scares ever.
Did you ever
people to not trust windows?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Did you ever try and go out the door at the beginning?
Yeah. Later on, not the first time, because a dog jumps in, doesn't it?
Yeah, if you try and go out the front door, if you just turn around and try and go out the front door, dogs attack you.
Wait, don't open that door. That leads me on to the voice acting. Back then, I genuinely thought it were good voice acting. I don't know how I could have thought that.
To be fair, because voice acting wasn't really a thing then.
I know, but still,
like it was a very early
bad.
PlayStation game because it was like a year one PlayStation game.
Yes, 1996.
And you know, if you'd played anything on the N64, there wasn't really any voice acting or anything.
You got a bit of wahoo! You got a bit of that.
Yeah, exactly. So like, you know, people had come from like the Mega Drive and the SNES and like cartridge-based systems where having hundreds of megabytes of voice acting on it was not really an option.
I can remember the first voice acting I ever heard in a game, and it shit me up. You know Altered Beast when it goes, "Rise from your grave." That really shit me up. That as a kid.
Yeah, which also really shits me up every time I listen to the last podcast on the left, and that's part of their opening theme.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Nice.
In fact, actually, it's their advert transition, so they'll be talking about something, and then to go to an advert, you go, "Rise from your grave." Like, thanks, lads.
Shocking.
Put me back in a traumatic memory.
With Resident Evil, as I said, it spawned 23 other games. Some of them, and I think it's safe to say, most of the games aren't good. The majority of the Resident Evil games aren't good. The quality over quantity the ratio is just off. It's like 5 absolute must plays out of all the series.
I think in the main line,
mainline's different, isn't it?
If you include 0 in that, only 5 and 6 are shit.
Yeah. I'd agree with that.
The rest, I think, are all worth.
Some are good, some are incredible.
Yeah,
yeah. But the first one, it just did. I don't know how it managed to. Like I said, the game's very well lit. It's not a dark game.
No.
Like talking about remember Alone in the Dark, the New Nightmare, which same platform, PlayStation. That was very like shadows and really dark.
It was also terrible.
Oh, it was bad, but that was. You know what I mean? The atmosphere was different on that, but
I think so I remember distinctly being quite scared of the first Resident Evil game.
Yeah.
Granted, I was 12 when I played it,
yeah,
so
I wasn't
that
far
probably
off.
helped.
Yeah.
But I think for me, it was one of the first games I encountered where it actually had audio design. Like the shambling sound of the zombies, even though it's like if you listen to it now, it's like it's a bit crap. But hearing that shh as they're moving around, and then they're just around a corner. It's like they're all really simple sound effects, but Capcom have always been really good at sound. Like if you go back to like the early Street Fighter games, like they had a really cracking sound design. And I think they managed to do a lot with very little. And everything was really well lit. I think also having the tank controls and being fixed camera angles, so you
can't see everything.
I remember when the hunters come into it about 2/3 of the way through the story when you come back to the mansion.
Which can one-hit kill you.
Depending on the difficulty, but like the first time you encounter one, you see the cutscene leading up to it.
But you don't see it.
But you don't see it because where the character will be when that cutscene triggers, you're in a dog-like corridor and it walks around the corner. And it's just like, you see it and it's like, oh fuck, no, and you turn around and run away. It did a lot with the very limitations of what it had.
Absolutely. I think that's kind of its strength as well. Now, they did remake it for the GameCube initially, and now it's probably available on everything.
Before they remade it, though, they released the DualShock version.
Oh,
Do you not remember
the director's cut.
The director's cut of it and the state of some of the changes they made.
Oh, yeah. They did even worse soundtrack, didn't they? The soundtrack was terrible.
Yeah. Just for the listeners here, I'm going to put in a clip of the music soundtrack for The Kitchen in the original version, immediately followed by the sound in the re-released director's cut version. Just listen to the quality.
It's like somebody farting into a trumpet. It's fucking shocking.
It's so bad.
But
it's not even musical. It's not a theme. It's just...
When that game first came out, I went to a mate's house because I was working abroad. So when I came home from leave, I said, "Oh, have you seen Resident Evil?" It's like, no. So we ended up playing it together, and we took turns, doing a section or whatever. Yeah. And we were so stoned. We got to this point in the game where we'd done all the puzzles, and we just kept going through the same corridor, not knowing what to do next. And it was, how slow the door animation is.
Yeah. That was for
when
tension,
you're stoned and you can't find where you're going, and you go into a room, you're like, "Oh no, don't go into that room. That's the room of the bees." And when you go in there, it's that slow animation of that, like that, and you've got to wait for it to load. Then it's the bees. You've got to turn around, go back out again. Got lost, went back in again. We did this for literally like an hour and a half. Didn't know what to do, so one of us slammed the controller down, hit the button, and the map popped up with a little flashing door saying you need to go. We completely forgot there was a map.
I bet you were like, "Look, we're stoned, and you got to pick herbs up, and you're getting healed by the herbs, man."
It may have been mentioned.
Really enjoying.
I do think for a game when it came out, you said it was revolutionary. I remember me and my brother, especially my brother, was just like, "Look at how good like the set designs and everything was."
Yeah.
So I believe it's all painted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
So like just going into the main hall originally, he was like, "Look at the detail." I mean, now obviously you look back at it, it's like
That's
crap.
awful.
But at the time, he was like, "Look at the detail just on the carpet." Like it's like you can see all the shapes and everything. And we were so blown away about the detail it had in it. It was just incredible.
Even that cutscene when the zombie turns its head round for the first time.
When it's eating
like,
Kenneth.
"Whoa."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
But the voice acting was terrible. We used to take the piss out of it back then as well.
I hope that's not Chris's
blood. Yeah.
You almost became a Jill sandwich.
The master of lockpicks.
Yeah. The master of unlocking. Wait, don't open that door.
I was really disappointed when they did the remake that there wasn't an option to keep Barry's original lines.
I know, they changed it. He said something like, "You almost got squashed in there in the remake," rather than, "Where's the Jill sandwich?" Yeah. I missed the Jill sandwich.
Not allowed to say that anymore.
No, you're not. But yeah, just the last thing on that. As a debut, without it being such a strong debut, the whole franchise wouldn't have grown 107 million units across the board. And that one game, the original run, 5.3 million copies. This is before the time of GTA 5, which sells more than the Bible. You know what I mean? This is
yeah.
That's huge. That's 5.3 million copies. That's massive. And
So that would then probably translate to about 15 million pirated copies.
Probably. That's how. Yeah. Exactly. Because everyone had a cheap PlayStation.
I was going to say I didn't see a genuine version of Resident Evil until I had my own PS2.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a genuine version. But I think it shows in the sales. I think the second one is almost like 7 to 8 million copies.
Oh yeah.
So
number two is absolutely better. But as a debut, I think if it wasn't as strong, it'd have just been another survival horror. Like they tried loads on PS1. Can you remember Martian Gothic? No, you can't.
Yes,
Only Gadget can remember it. They tried a debut. That didn't work.
No, that was a game which is almost the definition of swing and a miss.
Yeah, exactly. So basic Resident Evil on Mars.
Yeah, I think the other thing as well is it proved that console games could be for grown-ups.
Absolutely, that was the big thing.
Because like PC games were already for grown-ups because you already had Doom and Duke Nukem and stuff like that at the time. But console games had always been very swung towards kiddie, family-friendly stuff.
It was Nintendo, wasn't it? Nintendo was the dominant force.
Yeah, and so then Sony comes out the gates with their really fucked up marketing campaigns.
Live action FMVs as well, because it's disc.
Yeah.
You couldn't do that on a cartridge.
No, the live action FMV for Resident Evil was a work of something.
Something, yeah.
It was.
Don't want to say it's art.
I think that inspired Yui Bowl's career, didn't it?
Possibly. But so they proved that so when that came out, then you started getting stuff like Silent Hill was obviously a response to that.
Absolutely.
And
It's such a great game.
All these different Yeah, Parasite Eve. Parasite Eve's excellent.
Yeah, which is more of an RPG than a survival horror, but it's...
I'm still upset that's never made it over here in the UK.
Which one? The first one?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
that and Xenogears have never been released in the UK.
No, you can get pirated ones, so don't you worry about that.
Yeah, but yeah, you see, you got all these like new franchises that were not only designed for adults, but designed with adult themes around them. So it wasn't just the blood and the violence. You started getting more complicated stories. You started getting big twists. You started getting like really engaging narratives as well. I mean, I'm not for a second pretending that Resident Evil has an engaging narrative. B-movie schlock, but it was
baddies
done
under
so
the
well.
house. That is the narrative. There's zombies.
But it broke a lot of ground for what you could do with grown-up games.
And you get quite a chunky game as well for a launch. I don't think it will launch week, but launch-ish title. Where I think it came out on the Dreamcast as well. Not Dreamcast, Saturn as well, didn't it? I think. Yeah,
but less said about that part, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. But it launched, and you had Chris's campaign and Jill's campaign. That started a trend in that genre then to have multiple perspectives in the same location. And I think that's quite a masterstroke as well. So, yeah, as a debut, I think it knocks it out of the park, absolutely. If you wanted to play the original, not the remake, play the, I think it was the DS version. I like that version best. Remember the Deadly Silence version? Is it called Deadly Silence? Can you remember where you could... you don't even know what I mean, do you?
Oh, yeah.
You could use the knife with the stylus.
Yeah, I was trying to remember. When you said DS version, I'm thinking, are you talking the DualShock version? No, the actual version on the Nintendo DS.
Yeah, on the Nintendo DS. I think that was the best version of the original game, in my opinion, anyway. So, yeah.
Do you not remember them shoving it onto a Game Boy?
Oh, Gaiden. No, it's different to Gaiden, wasn't it? There was an actual Resident Evil on Game Boy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, that were bad.
In monochrome.
Oh, yeah, that were bad. Oh, my God, that just slipped my brain.
Yeah, good attempt. Not well done.
I believe the PC version of the original had extra content as well that no one else got. Like an extra couple of rooms that didn't exist.
An extra couple of rooms, an extra cutscene.
That was it, yeah. But yeah, if you can, you probably find it on PC for 99 pence. It's a good blast from the past and a great debut. So we'll move on to Candy.
Yeah, I'm going with the cult release from the podfather himself, Kevin Smith, and that's Clerks. Or Clerks, if you want to say it the proper way. Clerks follows Dante and Randall on their sort of regular dead-end jobs, and it just perfectly sort of encapsulates that 90s feel of life.
Encapsulates retail, trust me.
For sure. I think we've all been there. Yep. It also gave birth to 90s icons, Jay and Silent Bob. Silent Bob being played by
Snooch to the motherfucking nooch.
They were just everywhere, weren't they? Forever. Remember they turned up in Scream?
Yes, Scream 3, I think.
In Scream?
Yeah, Scream 3. I think it was 3. Because Wes Craven just turns up in that film.
Oh, I was going to say, not in the first Scream.
No.
Missed that.
It's the one in Hollywood.
Oh, right, yeah, that's not very good.
I think because it was when in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, they go to the Paramount Studios.
Yeah, they do.
But yeah, it's made by Kevin Smith in '94 after he dropped out of film school, where he'd met Scott Mosier, who's his producer and sort of longtime collaborator. He actually does a podcast with him as well. He often turns up in a lot of his films. He plays, is it Snowball? I think in Clerks.
Yeah.
Plays Snowball in Clerks, so you'll know his
name.
face. Especially when you know what it means.
Yeah. It's disgusting.
I haven't seen that movie for a while.
It was filmed in black and white just because he completely self-funded it.
It's cheaper, isn't it?
It was cheaper, and I think that he mentioned something about the they gave him a deal at the shop that he was working at just because he was still technically a student even though he dropped out. He made the film for $27,000.
It's mental, that.
All included. They actually they filmed it in the store that he worked in. And the reason you see the shutters down, there's that scene at the beginning where he puts a sign up saying, "I assure you we're open," out of boot polish, and everyone commented on it on the way in. And the reason for that is they were filming it overnight whilst the store was closed.
It makes sense, doesn't it, now when you think about it?
Absolutely. So whereas it looked like it was dark, it actually was dark because it was nighttime outside. But they got around.
Apart from the scene where they're playing hockey on the roof.
Well, they filmed that sort of outside the store, so the store could still be open.
Yeah.
I just love the way it just kind of feels like you sometimes forget you're watching a film, and it's just like we're talking now, just arguing about completely ridiculous, nerdy things. And at that age, it feels like it's just the most important thing in the world, doesn't it? And then you realise when you're older, it doesn't matter. But it perfectly kinds of sums.
For me, it was the first time I'd heard like real famous people discussing like Star Wars, not on Star Wars. Because they had that famous discussion about contractors on the Death Star.
And funny enough, I was gonna mention that because in the Force Awakens, Finn, the stormtrooper, it's mentioned that he was working in the sanitation department.
Oh shit!
So there actually were like plumbers and stuff on the.
I forgot. I didn't think of that. Wow,
it's so weird because I mean, who interviews you if you're like joining the Empire? I mean, is it like Darth Vader?
I think it's conscription. Going, I'm not sure.
Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? You know.
Do you work well under pressure?
I'd love to see the Death Star.
Such a strange thing, isn't it? You know?
Actually, the original ending was Dante getting shot, and so that didn't obviously test very well.
The only version of it I've seen.
Yeah,
really?
There is a version that's released.
Cut.
Yeah, there is.
It was released with the, I think it was the anniversary DVD. I think it was, and they showed they played that scene, and I'm glad that they went. Apparently, it was just because he didn't know how to end it.
Yeah.
So
how do you end a normal day at work for them people? That's the thing.
Yeah.
He wasn't even supposed to be there that day. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I have never seen this.
What?
Oh, it's a great film. You should.
That blows my mind.
I've seen Clerks 2.
Kevin Smith. In
You've
general.
seen Clerks 2, but you've not seen Clerks 1.
Yeah.
Did you say how do we feel about Kevin Smith in general?
Yeah, because I think Clerks is quite a departure from the rest of his films, isn't it?
He has hits and misses for me.
Oh yeah,
I agree.
I think Smith has more misses for me than hits.
I like Dogma.
Like his hits are fucking brilliant.
Yeah. Clerks, Dogma.
I really like Dogma, but like seems to get a real kick in.
It's because people don't like its subject matter. That's why.
Yeah.
He actually turned up and protested his own film, didn't he?
Yeah. He protested the fact that he was saying like Dogma is shit or something with a placard, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was outside with the rest of them.
But no one knew what he looked like. Kevin Smith does look like the most average American in the world.
I like Chasing Amy. I thought that was
Chasing Amy's
excellent.
good.
I love Chasing Amy.
Yeah. There's
Jersey Girl was bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shocking. I didn't mind the Walrus one. I like that.
Tusk.
Yeah, Tusk. I like Tusk.
Tusk was brilliant.
Mallrats is good in bits and places.
I like Mallrats more than most people do. I like
first
Jane
Stanley
Silent Bob
cameo.
Strike Back. Yeah, I like Jane Silent Bob Strike Back. I did not like Jane Silent Bob Rebooted.
Oh no.
That was a film that didn't need to happen.
No.
Well, that was just a love letter to his actors, wasn't it? And to his family, and to his actors, and to Jay as well. And I think he made it. He made it right. He pitched it right after he had the heart attack, and I think a lot of the actors that he'd worked with in previous years felt like they actually did want to come out and they wanted to help him. They wanted to help him bounce back, and it probably did make them feel a bit nostalgic for where they started out, because Ben Affleck started in a lot of.
They had a big
Kevin
falling
Smith
out though,
films.
didn't they, for years, and now they're friends again and stuff like that.
I think so. I don't think he's ever really revealed if they had a falling out or not, but they seem to be friends again. But yeah, brought out a lot of the old actors, and I thought it was just a nice little. It's never going to win any Oscars, but it was a nice little love letter to everyone, I think.
I think, honestly, in all Kevin Smith's work, I think his best work's his podcasting.
Yeah,
personally,
for sure.
I think it is. Smodcast is brilliant. It used to be. I've not listened to it in a very long time.
Fat Man on Batman was really good.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah. But yeah, Clerks. It was the first film I ever watched it with a director's commentary. There you go.
Yeah, it's very good with the director's commentary. I will say it does suffer from it being a self-made, self-funded, self-directed, self-starring film. In that it has a lot of Kevin Smith's worst impulses with dialogue.
It does.
And like long-running monologues and speeches about the most inane bullshit. Whereas when he got into Mallrats and into the future, when he had editors that would help him, still allow him to have those huge sections of dialogue, but cut them down slightly.
Well, he
make them a little bit punchy.
He once said that obviously the great Quentin Tarantino was about at the time, and Tarantino had the luxury of having long monologues, but editing prowess as well. So you can make it's not going. Do you know when they're talking? Like he has Steve Buscemi doing a massive monologue, but he didn't do it all in one take. With Clerks, you can tell some of them were just like, do you know what I mean? Get it off, rattle it off.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But yeah, it's good. As a debut, absolutely.
Oh, it's excellent as a debut.
And how much did it cost? Sorry, did you say $27 million?
$27,000. $27,000, which I looked, and it's about $40,000 today.
That's ridiculous.
It made $3.2 million.
There you go. He launched his career.
So you could make Clerks again for less than the price of a Tesla.
Yeah, basically.
And you should.
Yeah.
Probably a better investment. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good pick. So yeah, Clerks, really good. We're now on to Biggie.
Yeah. So yeah, I've gone down a slightly different path. I've just realised that everything I've kind of talked about today revolves around sort of hip hop generally. So I wanted to discuss. I wanted to discuss sort of 90s hip hop. It was in many eyes, including my own, the golden era of hip hop music. It just seemed to be throughout the 90s as it kicked off. It was just artist after artist just came out of the woodwork, and they were just banging music all the time. It was just a wonderful time to be alive in the world of hip hop. It was just incredible. I wanted to mention about 3 debuts that I wanted to point out. It's entirely up to our esteemed editor whether he wishes to drop any snippets in. If not, just track down the records that I recommend. I want to mention about one guy called Keith Murray. He first made an appearance on Eric Sermon's Hostile. Eric Sermon was one part of EPMD, who layers of great music. But when he went solo, he launched this record Hostile, and Eric Sermon does the first verse quite amiably as a sort of record producer, stroke rapper, delivers his line. And then he literally has a guy come on a microphone and say, introducing. And then he mentions Keith Murray. And then Keith Murray just comes in and just drops this incredible verse.
And now, introducing the man with the flying transparent style on the planet. Straight from LOD, Park Nav, the one and only Philly One King, Keith Murray.
Keith Murray, coming from the north, south, even left, rhyming to death, making the world wanna take a deep breath. With the body boom bash, my paragraph, trade good human behavior and a psychopath. Ooh, I might lose my cool and break fool and pull out my get busy tools.
Keith Murray from that got signed and ended up having quite a good career at one point until he went a bit crazy, attacked a guy with a bar stool, and then went on the lam for a month before he handed himself in.
What a legacy.
But yeah, just for an absolute cracking verse. And in the world of hip hop, if you're going to make an appearance, you literally, as you guest on a record, you need to
You've got to kick the doors down, haven't you?
You have to if you're going to make an impact, and Keith Murray certainly did that. The second guy I want to mention is Nas.
Yeah.
He appeared on Main Source's Live at the Barbecue, and again, he opened that track, and it was just incredible, an amazing verse from literally an unknown guy.
Streets disciple, my raps are trifle. I shoot slugs from my brain just like a rifle. Stampede the stage, I leave the microphone split. Play Mr. Tuffy while I'm on some pretty tone shit. Verbal assassin, my architect pleases. When I was 12, I went to hell for snuffing Jesus. Nasty Nas is a rebel to America. Police murderer, I'm causing hysteria. My troops roll up with a strange force. I was trapped in a cage and lit out by the main source. Swimming in women like a lifeguard. Put on a bullet.
He went on to release another single called Half Time, which ended up appearing on a soundtrack to the movie Zebrahead. But then he also went on to release his main own single, which was It Ain't Hard to Tell, which sampled Michael Jackson's Human Nature, and he literally just blew up.
Oh, I love Human Nature.
Yeah, this guy is so good. There's poetry in hip hop. He's just incredible. What a wordsmith. So yeah, please check that out. But there can only be one group that I want to talk about who debuted, and that's the Wu-Tang Clan.
Oh, bada.
When you just come through the people that I've mentioned, you just got one guy, a couple of guys, just, appearing in their usual sort of hip hop videos, riding around in cars, showing money and all this kind of thing. It was all kind of very sort of blasé, and then Wu-Tang Clan just came completely out of nowhere.
Ninjas.
They're like a group of 10 people. Look, as badass as you can imagine. Their first single, which was called Protect Your Neck, wasn't too bad. I like it.
Ocean Joe Frazier, the Hellraiser, raising hell with the flavor, terrorize the jam like troops in Pakistan, swinging through your town like your neighborhood Spider-Man. So tick tock and keep ticking, when I get you flipping off the shit that I'm kicking. The Lone Ranger, co-ed, danger.
It's when they released Method Man, who's one member of the group, and he just did this incredible solo single, which literally introduced the group. They're all in the background of his video, and they weren't looking at the camera. They're kind of just slightly looking to the side because it was kind of like, I can't look you in the eye because I'm really bad. You know, yeah, it was such a great video. But yeah, the music they went on to release, Cream, Cash Rules Everything About Me, It Could All Be So Simple. But this group, they just went from 10 members. Their album, Enter the Wu-Tang, became the 36 Chambers. Then every single member of the group released a solo album. You had the production by the RZA, the raw beats spliced with martial arts samples, their logo, very distinct W. The clothing, they launched the clothing, a library of albums, single, guest appearances.
Video game.
But yeah, within the first year, they had 300 affiliates. I mean, it's just incredible.
Are you in the Wu-Tang Clan?
No, I'm not. I wish I could spit bars. But yeah, it was just something about that group, the way they launched, just the threat of this group from Staten Island. And yeah, they were just incredible. Not every album is a hit, in my personal opinion. They had some misses, without a doubt.
I like the names, it's like RZA, Guzza, Old Dirty Bastard, Method Man. There's loads of them in there. I don't even know
they're
them
just
all.
So good. So good. But yeah, I mean, Method Man definitely stood out.
Well, he's the biggest hit out of all them, really, isn't he?
He is. He's really good. Raekwon the Chef as well. But yeah, if you're not into hip hop, at least check those out. And if
everyone's heard Gravel
our esteemed editor can't put it in, please track them down.
Do you remember when some British producer wanted to put together a British Wu-Tang Clan and we got the So Solid crew? Didn't quite have the same impact, did they?
Not quite. I mean, 21 seconds is okay. It's okay, but yeah.
Most of the So Solid crew have probably got jobs at a call centre now.
Sensible crew.
There's nothing wrong with working in a call centre, by the way. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
What was that? I thought you were going to say that other group then for some reason. That boy group. What were they called?
PJ Duncan.
No, this is like later on in the 90s as well. They did that Crossroads song.
Blazing Squad.
Blazing Squad, yeah. For some reason I thought it was going to say Blazing Squad, and I was like...
They had So Solid crew, which were like Aldi, Blazing Squad were Lidl. Do you know what I mean? It was like... and Wu-Tang Clan were fucking Tesco.
Well, the thing is, though, that American hip-hop was so good, the quality was there, that British hip-hop just tried to emulate that and couldn't do it because they didn't have their own...
They've done it now, haven't they, with Grime?
But now,
Grime's taken
the UK scene is incredible, so much better than American. But yeah, they just tried to emulate. They didn't find their own identity. So now, they've done that. And it took a long time for British hip-hop
at this point, I don't know much about the Wu-Tang Clan, but I know, I at this point, they've become basically...
They're all ninjas,
almost
mate.
Well, no, they've mostly become like an art exhibit in themselves.
Yeah.
They recorded an album and printed exactly one copy of it.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
it was sold to fucking Martin Shkreli because he's a dickhead. But it was just the most. I remember seeing that. I think, why would they sell one copy and then it sold for like several $1 million?
They've made the money back.
They'll do one copy.
How much money have they saved on production?
Yeah. But yeah, they were so good, so good.
Are they still operating as a clan now? Are they all just split off?
I don't think so. I mean, they certainly...
I've not heard of them in years.
Not heard anything for ages. Method Man did a live show with... Yeah, he did a live show, Redman, over lockdown, which was really good.
RZA does a lot of film soundtracks now.
Yeah.
He acts.
So, I think they all found their own feet here and there. Unfortunately, ODB actually died. I mean, this is incredible. At the height of... At the peak of his popularity in the group, he did an armed robbery and got shot.
It happens, doesn't it?
Just blows your mind.
But yeah, brilliant though. So we'll move back on to Stig.
Okay, my second choice is Get Out by Jordan Peele. So this is Jordan Peele's directorial debut in the world of film, coming from a comedy background.
Key and Peele, yeah.
With Key and Peele, this just kind of just sideswept everyone and came out of nowhere. I don't think anyone was expecting this comedy actor to come
Not at all, mate.
with
Not
this
at all.
powerhouse of a film. For those of you who haven't seen Get Out, I'll just read the synopsis here. Chris and his girlfriend Rose go upstate to visit her parents for the weekend. At first, Chris reads the family's over-accommodating behaviour as nervous attempts to deal with their daughter's interracial relationship. But as the weekend progresses, a series of increasingly disturbing discoveries lead him to a truth that he never could have imagined. And this stars Daniel Kaluuya.
He's brilliant in it.
Yeah, he's
so good.
Exceptional in it. And it's fantastic. It is not what I expected at all. I didn't really know much about it. I didn't watch the trailers. I didn't kind of read much about it. I heard snippets bit here and there about it, and I just got told to watch it. And I just had it in my mindset, white girl takes a black man back to his conservative white family, and all I had in my head was this is going to turn into one of those.
I thought it was going to be a comedy, me.
No, I thought it was going to be one of those like kind of hunting films, and I just thought,
yeah,
that's where they're going. And it just was not that at all, and completely just blew me away with the way it goes. It's very clever. It is funny in parts.
It is.
It's ridiculously tense, political, and scary. See, people say it's not a horror because it's not your typical scares, but I think the scares are in there like in other ways.
It's human scares.
Very unnerving.
Yeah, the sunken place to me was very scary because of my interpretation of what I thought it represented.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to be spoiled by it, I'm going to talk about what the sunken place. I thought the sunken place was. To me, I see that as how the director views Black society.
Same.
It's a place where it's metaphorically put in a box and he can't get out of it, and he's controlled by rich white people. That's how I saw the sunken place. So yeah, it's very clever, very politically charged, but it does it without being on the nose.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in there after I've read up about it and talked to friends and stuff. Just all these tiny little touches throughout.
He's put Easter eggs everywhere, though, hasn't he?
Yeah, like he uses cotton to get away.
Yeah, which is obviously a play on.
Yeah, and the where she's separating the cereal from the milk and everything like that. It's just so. The movie isn't about a big twist or shock factor. It's this underlying political message.
Pretty straightforward if you think about it.
Nails. Yeah, it is, but it's just done in such a clever way.
What's the actor's name? I've forgotten.
Daniel Kaluuya.
Daniel Kaluuya.
Was it his first movie as well?
No, I did look this up.
He'd been in British programmes as well for a while, because he's a Brit, isn't he?
Yeah, he'd been in a lot of TV, and I think he'd been in two or three films before this.
Oh, okay. He's so good in it. He's just gone on.
Well, this is the film that kind of shot his career up.
Yeah.
Big time. But yeah, there's nothing. There's nothing in this film that's like superfluous. Everything is hidden, but it's in plain sight. That's what makes it so clever. So it's not like it's there for you to see, but not for you to like have to.
I think Jordan Peele's got he's really good foreshadowing as a director. He uses that technique brilliantly.
In Us as well.
Yeah, exactly. The whole plot of Us is told to you with foreshadowing anyway. Do you know what I mean? It's so good.
Yeah,
as you said, it is a horror, but it doesn't rely on sort of jump scares, does it? Or what I like to call cheap scares. I think it's really scary when you don't rely on that kind of thing.
Yeah. So
I just remember that scene, and I know you're talking about Get Out, but I just remembered the scene in Us where they try to call for help and they end up getting "fuck the police" on the on Siri. That's so funny, so funny.
There is there's two endings to Get Out.
Yeah.
And I preferred the one that you went with because I think the original ending was too obvious. It was foreshadowed of there. It's like, he bumps in that clearly racist cop at the beginning. Oh, here comes a cop car. It's like, I was just like, at that point, I was kind of rolling my eyes thinking, like, this is just, it's too easy. And
I prefer the theatrical ending.
They changed, the ending that he gets is better. Have you seen it, Gadget?
No.
Oh, fuck's sake. You should tell me this before you fucking start rolling on about spoilers.
I have no intention of watching it, so spoiler.
Really?
It's so good, mate.
Amazing.
You should.
And
so good.
I have no doubt. I've just got no interest in it.
I get it.
Same with us. No interest.
My wife
in it.
don't want to watch him either. She didn't. She's like, no, I'm not bothered.
Yeah, it's great. Us, Jordan Peele.
I think it's
no, Get Out, Jordan Peele.
Get Out. Yeah, it's
Sorry, that was my
it's an
fault.
absolute banging debut. It's a full on like 8 to 9 out of 10 film for me. There's no wasted space on it. So yeah, Gadget. Next, please.
So my second one, just because I know that we're going to get copyright strike to fuck with Biggie's choices. I'm going to put something.
You don't have
that
to
came
put
out
them in. You don't have to.
Oh no, I'm putting them in. I'm going to put in something that was released on Warner Music because why not make it on YouTube? I'm going to talk about one of my favorite albums of all time, Hybrid Theory by Linkin Park.
Seminal.
Because in my mind, I'm always 14.
Forever.
Yes, absolutely. So this was released. If you want to make you feel old, October the 24th in the year 2000. Yes, 21 years old.
That
this
makes
year.
me sick.
Oh no.
This was the debut release by American rock band Linkin Park. I was trying to think, are they from anywhere in particular? No, they're just from all over America.
You've all heard of them.
Yeah. It's possibly one of the most genre-defining new metal albums there was, at least towards like the later end of what new metal was, because you had like kind of Korn were one of the first ones, really, weren't they, in like the mid-90s, who kind of put together rap and rock.
Korn was so embarrassing. I'm sorry, guys, but so embarrassing.
Never listened to it.
You don't need to.
Yeah.
I like some Korn tracks.
I love Korn.
Korn were brilliant. They had some really deep and involving lyrics, like boom, da, boom, da, boom, go. But yeah, so Linkin Park kind of they were in a very similar style to like Korn and bands like that who were big in the 90s, who fused rap and rock together. But by the time it got to the year 2000, when Linkin Park kind of hit the scene, you know, big major labels were getting involved with it, and the production was getting very slick, and the sound was getting very slick. And I think Hybrid Theory is the pinnacle of what could be achieved with fusing rap rock together, adding in samples, putting in a DJ and that kind of thing, and having that kind of fusion between metal and more kind of hip hop based music.
I couldn't agree more.
They're a 6-piece band with 2 singers, because why not go to the extreme excesses? One of the singers, Mike Shinoda, was also the guitar player and keyboard player, and one of the DJs, and he was more of a rapper than anything. And then you had the late great Chester Bennington, who was the kind of the lead singer, the clean vocalist. I say clean vocalist, a lot of dirty vocals.
He had some pipes on him. Whew.
Oh, that man's voice!
He could sing.
Good. Oh, one of the greatest singers of a generation.
Absolutely.
And yeah, he sadly died a few years ago. And it's an album that for me, when it hit, I remember when I was just kind of getting into rock music when this album landed. And I remember being a little innocent young me being a little freaked out by the video for One Step Closer.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was this kind of weird, edgy, fucking people with bright red hair.
Faces right up close to the camera.
Screaming at the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, ninjas and shit like that. And I was just like, oh, no.
Why is there ninjas in it?
Yeah, why are there ninjas?
It's weird.
I don't think I've seen the video.
It's just like they went, we've got a bit of budget left. What should we put in it? Ninjas.
How much do ninjas
Always default to ninjas every time.
Yeah, and I remember then it was just one day I just sat down and watched the video. I thought, this is a fucking banger. This is excellent. It's a short album. It doesn't sit around
about
and
an hour
take up
long.
Space. It's 37 minutes.
Fuck! Really?
listened to it when you mentioned that you were going to do this yesterday when I was cleaning. I put the album from start to finish. So it's so good.
Yeah,
I thought it were longer.
No, it's perfectly formed.
Wow.
All the songs on it are about some kind of like believable human emotion. So whether it's loss, whether it's addiction, whether it's depression, anxiety, all these different things. And the album goes along at a fair clip. It's like I said, it's a 40-minute long album. It's really quick to get through, but everything just flows so perfectly from one song to the next. And some of the songs are really heavy. Like "With You" is one of the heaviest songs I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy, isn't it?
Yeah, and "Points of Authority" as well, stuff like that.
I mean, "Crawling's" got quite a heavy chorus, which you don't usually see. It's usually the other way around, isn't it? Heavy, then into a more melodic chorus, but that's quite a heavy vocal on "Crawling."
See, it annoys me that "Crawling" was one of the big singles from it because that is my least favourite song on the album.
It's not the best.
If only because it's just the delivery of the chorus.
Yeah.
That long crawling in.
Yeah.
It's like, but it's almost it's in tune, but it's almost like it's out of tune, and it really grates on me every time.
Would you say that it's crawling under your skin?
In his ears.
Maybe.
See, I look back at that album with almost sort of a sense of guilt because when it first came out, I felt almost as if they were a very packaged new metal band. They were on, I think they were released on, they were released on, I think, was it Roadrunner Records and produced by Ross Robinson, and there were a lot of bands at the time.
Picked them out
No, it was Warner Brothers, and they were produced by Don Gilmore.
Warner Brothers. So I kind of look back and think, that they were packaged and they're deliberately trying to appeal to teenagers, angsty teenagers, and
it worked.
Obviously, firstly it worked, but also looking back now and seeing what the end that Chester Bennington met, and I sort of feel he wasn't trying to appeal to anyone. This was coming from him. This was actually what he was feeling.
Yeah, he was being honest with his lyrics, wasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's very easy to be cynical around that time because there were a lot of bands that were like that. Like everyone remembers Crazy Town.
Oh, Edema.
And Crazy Town were actually a manufactured new metal band.
Yeah. They didn't know each other, did they, before that?
They were put together by a record label. Edema were another one who I think that they only kind of got a record deal because the lead singer was Jonathan Davis's cousin.
Yeah, guys, you need to spike your hair up or you're not being in this music video.
Exactly, yeah.
That's me fucked.
But like Hybrid Theory also was kind of like, it was almost like an anathema to like other albums that were at the time. So like the other big new metal bands at the time were Limp Bizkit,
rocking the set.
Who were this kind of very braggadocious, very intense,
misogynistic
band. Bunch of wankers.
Baby.
Well, Fred Durst was a wanker. Keep on rolling. Yeah, exactly. And you also had like Papa Roach, who were probably closer to.
They were skirting
Linkin
the
Park.
lines, really. I think Papa Roach.
Well, yeah, Papa Roach were like the same kind of Papa Roach were the same kind of subject matter. It was a lot of very angsty teenager shit. But they had a very much more of a punk rock sound to them because they didn't have the DJ and the hyper slick production and stuff like that. It was just the four of them. So I really kind of glomped on Hybrid Theory because it spoke to me in so many ways as this kind of nerdy, lonely teenager. And I just really, really like the songs. And do you want some stats on this one?
Yeah. I love a stat. Love a stat.
So it peaked at number 2 on the Billboard 200 in the US. So that's
massive.
Not the rock charts,
that's
main
massive.
chart. In America, it went 12 times platinum, which is 12 million copies.
Jesus.
Worldwide, sold 27 million copies.
Whoa.
It's the best-selling debut album since Appetite for Destruction.
Fuck.
Nice.
And bear in mind, it was released in the year 2000. It is still the best-selling rock album of this century.
Whoa. So I had it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? My sister bought it. I think my mum bought a copy. So we had 3 in our house. Do you know what I mean?
I think if you were a teenager in the year 2000, you had it.
Yeah.
It just appeared in your collection.
I said before, it was my gateway album into heavier rock.
One of mine, yeah. Absolutely. I can't argue with that.
On the flip side, I don't think the song's on there. Is Numb on there, isn't it?
Numb's the next album, isn't it?
No.
Yes. Yeah. So Numb was the closer of Meteora, which was their second album. Yeah. And then that was the one that became the main single when they did the mashup album with Jay-Z.
Yeah, the collaboration with Jay-Z.
That was
such
a good album as well.
Track. Such a good track.
And you know what? Encore Numb is the worst song on it.
Yeah.
The other songs that
I love it.
together,
I absolutely love it.
It is a good song, but it's the worst song on it because the other songs on it were fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
And I'm not a Jay-Z fan.
Did you like Regeneration, where they remixed the first album?
Yeah, I
did. Reanimation.
Reanimation, that's it. Yeah, I really like that.
I've still got that on CD. So my only complaint with that was, why did we have 5 remixes of Points of Authority?
Yeah.
You didn't need 5 remixes of a mid-track, mid-album track.
Which almost sounds like a B-side kind of track. Almost.
Yeah. But then, do you remember the video for Points of Authority remix? And you had that huge kind of StarCraft fucking sci-fi war thing. It was.
They did a lot of anime videos as well, didn't they?
No, that was called Transformers.
But if you haven't heard it, what the fuck's wrong with you? Go listen to Hybrid Theory. It's 40 minutes of your life, and it's absolutely
Does it still hold
brilliant.
up, like, sound-wise?
Yep,
oh,
absolutely.
Excellent.
Stunning production. So the songs are actually pretty timeless. I would say the only song that's probably aged poorly might be One Step Closer, just because it's such a generic metal song. But like when you get like deeper into the album and you get like A Place for My Head or Cure for the Itch or stuff like that, they're so good.
I know it's like a really genre-defining album. Do you know when the Tidal, that music service, launched and it was like high definition sound? They used that as the only rock like album that they'd put on it because it was quite hip hop orientated, wasn't it? Tidal for a long time.
Yeah. Well, Jay-Z launched
exactly.
Tidal, didn't he? So
that was one of the only rock albums on Tidal. So it obviously broke boundaries, didn't it?
I would also say if you search out the B-sides and listen to My December, it's one of the best rock ballads.
Yeah,
of the 2000s.
It's a good track.
Nice, excellent. So we're going to move on to me now. Now this is going to make the music I'm going to talk about look poor in comparison to Linkin Park. So an album that speaks to me on a different level, released in 2007. So I'd grown up a little bit more from Linkin Park days. I'd stopped putting as much eyeliner on. I still was, but not as much. It's called Take to the Skies by Enter Shikari. Has anyone heard of Enter Shikari?
Yeah, I've seen them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have.
Nope. I've been on top of a human. I've been on top of a human pyramid at their gig.
Yeah, they are famous for that. So, for people that don't know, they're a Hertfordshire-based electronicore band. So, if you don't know what electronicore is,
electronicore, fuck off.
That's what it is. That's what it is. Basically,
they're a metal band with electronics in it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. The lyrics. The lyrics are very political. Not as political as like Rage Against the Machine, but they're political nonetheless. Rue Reynolds' vocals range from rap, screaming, pig squealing. If you don't know what pig squealing is, I'm not going to do it because I'm really hungover. But I can normally.
You've got neighbours.
Yeah. Accompanied by exceptional harmonies and some intense guitar and drum riffs. Basically, it's like proto-dub rock, this first album, because it's before dubstep was even a thing, but I wouldn't still call it dubstep anyway. It's very difficult to describe it. It's emo as fuck. Yeah, it's super emo. But this album, it's just got for when it came out, like 2007. Oh my word! What were I doing in 2007? I were a bad boy about town. I'm telling you now. I were a bugger. I'd had so much Buckfast, Mad Dog 2020. I was drinking and listening to music and being an absolute pure goth emo. And this was the first of that kind of scene where the music sounded happy. Now, if you listen to Enter Shikari, it's quite a happy sounding. They use trumpets in some songs, for God's sake. Not as much as Andrew WK, but there's trumpets nonetheless. Like my top.
I'm really liking the way that your musical breakdown of a band here. They sound dead happy like, and they've got trumpets in there. It's really proper.
Yeah,
I want to see you put this in an essay. I want to see you just submit like a doctorate of music. Go for a
dissertation
and have this description of Enter Shikari.
Trust me, I can't describe things like this. Not to the level that you can. But yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those albums where, I mean, it's got 2 interludes in it, for God's sake. It's one of one of those albums. So
are you trying to argue that it's technically jazz?
No.
Or prog?
No, it's very prog. My top 3 songs on the album are Johnny Sniper, No Sweat, and Labyrinth. They're absolute.
I swear it's so good.
It's so good. I mean, if you want to drop a clip of No Sweat in, I'm absolutely on board with that. It's such a good song. The album sold well for a... it was self-distributed as well. It sold 200,000 copies worldwide. Now, they weren't attached to a label when this album came out. Now, there are many versions of the first album, some with demos that other people won't get, because, like I said, they're self-distributed. And sometimes I thought, you know what? We'll give this person a bonus track. It was quite weird how they did it. And they did also market... they used to give their album away free at other people's gigs. So it was quite guerrilla marketing at its time. So, like, if Stig knows them, and you all know, if there are many versions of the same song floating around on the internet.
I literally was just about to say that I heard the album, pretty much all the songs on it, but just rock versions with no electronic music in there.
Yeah.
So when they released it with all all that stuff in, I was a bit a little bit disappointed to start with, because I was like, oh, I liked the heavy versions.
Yeah.
But the more I listened to it, I was like, actually, this is great. And then when you see it live,
it's crazy, isn't it?
With all the lasers and all the other stuff.
I mean,
stuff,
he has LEDs on his guitar inlays and everything.
Yeah,
it's like shining in your eyes. It's crazy.
It makes it work, like.
But yeah, it's just a really good Take to the Skies. It's an absolutely cracking album. Unfortunately, I feel like the band's got very, and I don't want to be a hipster about it, but they've got very radio friendly lately. They've just released a new album, and it sounds like something that's on Radio 1. You know what I mean?
They started getting
Are you trying to pull that you liked them before they were cool?
No, I didn't know, because I was introduced to them by being at another band's gig and them handing fucking CDs out. Please listen to us.
I liked them before they were cool.
Stig probably did. But yeah.
No, they are radio friendly now. They're the type of band that BBC, like Radio 1 play. They end up at like one big weekend, I think. They do go to download. They are like download, and I saw them after that first album came out, and me and my friend was like, we have to go see these in the Radio 1 tent at Leeds, and it was jam packed.
Yeah,
like because that album.
And that's not even main stage.
Yeah, that album had banged so much that the people were just piling out of the actual tent, like it was that full. Yeah, and then they moved into the main stage, and it doesn't work as well.
It doesn't. Because like Rue Reynolds used to just jump into the crowd half at time and do half a set in the crowd.
Yeah.
So
there's certain bands that just like when you see them at a festival, they do not work on the main stage, but put them in a tent. Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah,
I think it's because now like they're not self-publishing anymore. They're with a big label and stuff, and like the band's openly admitted that they reckon they lost upwards to about £2 million in revenue for that first album because they just kept giving it away. But it worked. They got a career out of it. But yeah, Enter Shikari, Take to the Skies, I think it's a cracking debut album. There's video game influences, there's Britishness in it, and it's just stupid party atmosphere metal. It's really good. Definitely recommend it. That's mine. So we'll move on to Candy.
My second choice is Never Mind the Bollocks by the Sex Pistols.
See, now Enter Shikari is now in between the Sex Pistols and Linkin Park. It makes it look pathetic. 200,000 copies, ooh.
It was released in 1977, and it was their first and only release. They were formed. They weren't really. You could say that they were manufactured as well by Malcolm. Yeah,
they were manufactured. I think that's pretty much established.
They were hired because how they looked.
That's literally the case, because they got together by being plucked from Sex, which was the shop by Vivienne Westwood, Malcolm McLaren's partner at the time. Just for how they looked. They parted ways with Glenn Matlock, the original bassist, and replaced him with Sid Vicious. And
who couldn't play bass.
Who couldn't play bass, and there's no greater example of being plucked just for the way he looked. But as a example of one of the few albums that you can just feel like the raw energy from start to finish. There's not one song. They're not technically good songs. They're not. People always kind of rag on them for being bad musicians, and they weren't. They became the bands that they needed to be. They weren't musicians to begin with, but they became the Sex Pistols together. It's just the absolute. Every single song is iconic. You've got Holidays in the Sun to start it off with. God Save the Queen, that everyone said, which was the most banned song on radio at the time.
wasn't. Is it? I don't know if it's a rumor, but I remember reading something about it that the actual Queen said she didn't mind it. I'm pretty sure
that sounds like something the Queen would say.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like out there as a fact that, I don't mind. One doesn't mind this kind of thing.
Well, this one's a banger.
Yeah, that's what she said.
She probably generally didn't care.
Yeah, that's what
it's
more.
It's all the other people who speak on the Queen's behalf.
Yeah.
Like,
that's how the sound.
Do you like that frigging in the rigging?
She's just there like...
Great song.
Shaking her shoulders at her desk.
Yeah. Such a silly fucking song, God Save the Queen.
It is.
It is so silly.
I remember first hearing it when I was really young, but I also just remember that opening lyric that God save the Queen, her fascist regime. I'm sitting there thinking, but she's not a fascist.
No.
And rhyming Antichrist with Anarchist.
Yeah. Oh, it's awful, that bit. Still. You hear that lyric and you go, oh.
But I think they sort of, as you could imagine, they sort of imploded after a couple of years. I think it was 1978 that Johnny Rotten announced on their American tour that they were splitting up. And I think the tour itself was fairly problematic.
Well, they never finished a gig, did they? Ever?
I think, yeah, it was mid-gig. But just feeling that it almost sounds like the album was done in just one take, like they were in a studio and they just started, played, finished, and they had just that energy of youth.
I can guarantee that there were probably session musicians in that recording.
Well, actually, Glenn Matlock was asked to be a session musician after he parted ways, whether he was fired or whether he left. And I think he politely declined.
Yeah.
And I know it was the guitarist that laid down all the bass lines after Matlock left.
Yes.
Like between Sid Vicious being hired and their first tour, I'm not entirely sure he'd ever picked up a bass guitar.
No. He used to just
smack
it.
Play on the record.
He just smacked it. Oh.
He was just there to look good.
He did look good, though. That's the thing.
He did.
He looked incredible.
They were all sort of just art studenty people, weren't they?
They were quite posh for punks, weren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Sid was. From what I understand, he was fairly middle class, but just absolutely iconic. Just the look of him, and the chains and the fashion around it as well. And you see punks in London still wearing the Vivienne Westwood stuff.
Yeah, you do.
Which in itself is
crazy,
very,
isn't it?
very middle class, isn't it? You see mums wearing the Vivienne Westwood scarves with the skulls on and everything, and they're being edgy. But just for a debut album, I don't think you can beat it.
Do you know what? It surprisingly works well in a summer barbecue setting. I know it sounds strange because it's not as primal and raw nowadays, is it? It's not that. It's not like, oh, it's the Sex Pistols, turn it off. Like, do you know what I mean? My nana knew who the Sex Pistols were. Do you know what I mean?
Everyone's dad listens to the
Sex Pistols. I think it's quite institutionalized now. I think it's a British thing, isn't it? It's like Sex Pistols, yeah. But at one point, they couldn't even put the full word sex. But when they were written down in paper, they had to like blur out Sex Pistols, and they called them the Pistols for ages, like in written print and stuff like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, the CD album cover is that's censored as well.
Exactly.
Isn't it? Can't say bollocks.
Oh no. Yeah, I agree. It's good. So we'll move on to Biggie.
Oh, back to me. So the final one I wanted to talk about on this weird hip hop theme I've gone down is the movie Boys in the Hood, which was the debut movie from John Singleton, who sadly passed away a few years ago. For those that don't know, Boys in the Hood is a 1991 American coming-of-age hood drama. It was written and directed by John Singleton. One of the weird thing is about being an English hip-hop fan in the 90s is that it was all based on America, so you just had all these stories being told within rap music. Yes, you had your... I'm with my bitches and hoes and all that kind of shit, as entertaining as it was. But there was a lot of conscious rap out there as well. And there was a lot of rap that was actually trying to explain what life is like being a black man in certain areas of America, if not all of America. Yeah, and it was just, this movie came out and kind of solidified that. It came out at the right time. It was a coming-of-age drama as well, and it followed technically 3 guys. Ice Cube is in it. Who was funny enough. It was his.
He'd left
debut as an
NWA
actor.
and then he did that film, didn't he? And then he went back with them.
And you got Cuba Gooding Jr. was in
Yeah.
this. Featured Morris Chestnut, Lawrence Fishburne, a lot of strong black women as well. Nia Long, Regina King, Angela Bassett. So the actual cast was excellent as well. And it just followed the story of Trey, who is sent to live with his father, which was Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
LA,
Fucking hell.
South Central. And his best friend Ricky, and I've forgotten Ice Cube's character's name.
It's just Cube, mate. It's just Ice Cube. It's always been just Ice Cube when he's in a film.
But the acting was really, really good. The writing was excellent, and it followed a lot about trying to be strong as a black man. Don't always do what you're told. You know, you've got to find your own path and all this kind of thing. And I remember it distinctly because it was the first movie I personally saw where they showed one of the main characters, Ricky. Are we talking about spoilers here? There's no issue about
It's
spoiling.
like 21-year-old. Well, even older.
Long old, like 30.
30-year-old, yeah. 30-year-old.
So there's a particular scene where the character Ricky manages to get his scholarship for where he's going. So the family are really proud that he's managed to almost get out
my
of
motherfucking
the potential
scholarship.
life. And unfortunately gets gunned down in front of everybody. And the other guys managed to get away. But it was the first time I just didn't see that coming when I was that age. It was the first movie that kind of pulled that from under my feet. I was like, fucking hell, I thought he was going to be all right. And it's just really touching movie. It was a great debut.
It's a great film.
John Singleton got nominated. He was the first black American to get nominated as a director, especially particularly on his debut. He was only 24 when he did that as well. But he went on to do quite a lot of other movies, Poetic Justice, off the top of my head. What else? Higher Learning. He did some TV. He did Too Fast, Too Furious, the Shaft remake, and so on. But yeah, unfortunately, he had a stroke and died in 2017, I
I was
believe.
about to say, it weren't long ago, that was it?
No, but sorry, 2019.
Yeah.
He passed away. Sorry, but yeah, I just thought it was excellent. Just great movie, and I was fascinated by the life in America, and that sort of just
did a
reminded me
remastered
that
cut
it's
of
not
it for
all about
Blu-ray
that.
not so long ago. It's
did they?
Really cleans up because it still looked quite old, didn't it? And absolutely cleaned it all up. It's nice, yeah.
I'll
check
have
that
to
out.
check that out and rewatch that. But yeah.
So excellent. We'll get onto the bulging mail sack that I'm sure Gadget's got there under the desk.
Yeah. Oh, it's absolutely bulging.
Can't even pick it up.
Overflowing. The cats are beside themselves. Huge bags are playing. Andy Woods has come in saying, about the whole not wanting to see Gladiator was just me not being into anything unless it was sci-fi or superhero related. So that was following on from last week where we didn't understand why he hadn't
baffling, weren't it?
and judged by his cover.
Yeah.
Needless to say, it changed my mind. Although I must say, those seeing Jet and Lightning prancing around skimpy outfits would have been a bonus.
Agreed.
Compared to the Gladiator TV series. Also, John Fashanu in the crowd cheer Maximus on shouting "Awooga." This might be the most 90s thing I've ever read.
My mate for ages had "Awooga" as his text tone. It was so annoying when you were in a full-on text conversation. He kept going "Awooga."
Okay, but getting on to the correspondence we have about this week's subject, Deadbeat Punk has come in with a rather small essay this time.
Oh.
He says, "Hello, mountainous escalators. I'd like to direct your attention to Daniel Polanski's debut novel, The Straight Razor Cure. The Straight Razor Cure. The first entry in the Lowtown series. A startlingly confident debut novel from a writer that has continued to evolve and adapt over the years. His standalone A City Dreaming is especially worth checking out. The Straight Razor Cure revolves around the Warden, a washed-up drug dealer that lives in the attic of his dear friend's pub. Now, as the story unravels, our anti-hero makes the round of Lowtown, doing his daily shady dealings. It was like reading into a mirror. Two things have become apparent. Polanski has built a beautiful, realistic city. This place feels like it exists. Lowtown has a pulse. It's an incredibly difficult thing to achieve. Sir Terry Pratchett achieved this eventually, but not straight off the bat. The second thing is the Warden. This is almost his origin story, details being slowly fed to us as the novel unravels. The troubled anti-hero and his surrounding cast are a delight to be introduced to. And when I say anti-hero, I mean the warden can be a right cunt at stages. The novel is fantasy-based, but leans almost into a detective noir novel just as heavily. We have corrupt law, several factions of criminal organizations on different levels, deep running character connections, mystery and intrigue. Hard to example sections of this book that excel without delving into spoilers. But when this book landed on my lap, it felt like a breath of fresh air, feeling comfortable and exhilarating at the same time. When I realised this was the author's first foray into storytelling, that made it even more impressive. Really worth checking out if you find a gap in your reading listening schedules.
Excellent.
And then he just signs it off with, love you pricks.
Oh, that's his affection, that. Oh.
Yeah. I'm going to add that to my reading list. That sounds fucking brilliant. Former best boy Angry Kurt has come in.
Yeah, he's been sacked.
Saying, hi chaps, first off, apologies for the offence caused last week. Working very hard to regain my best boy status.
It's going to take
you got a long way to go, mate.
A long way to go.
A few suggestions here, including a sporting one. In games, I would put forward the developer Denison Games with Hotline Miami. I've watched lyrical about why that game is so good on here before, and I would love that two-man team to make a return with a new game. In music, I would say the self-titled album by Franz Ferdinand was the first album I ever bought, and I struggle to think of any track there I didn't like.
It makes me feel so old.
Highlights being Take Me Out and This Fire. In film, I will go with Alan Rickman for his performance in Die Hard, one of the most iconic villains of all time.
Sticky, how did you not bring this one up?
So other things I wanted to talk about. It's fine.
I have a machine gun.
It was in my honourable mention, so Kurt's already brought up.
And finally, in sport, I will go with the debut game and season of Wayne Rooney.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, good shout.
Yeah, I'll go into Everton here. There is a famous commentary of remember the name Wayne Rooney after he smashed a goal in his debut for Everton against Arsenal and went on to be England's wonder boy for many seasons afterwards. Cheers from Kurt.
Yep, thank you, Kurt.
Yeah, great shout.
Just boy at this point.
The boy, Kurt.
John Cheetham is saying, enter the Wu-Tang, 36 Chambers. Brilliant debut in its own right. It also set the group's members up to have their own killer first albums in the months and years after with Method Man's Tikal, ODB's return to the 36 Chambers. So, hang on. So Wu-Tang released 36 Chambers and ODB did a sequel to it. Okay. And Raekwon's Only Built for Cuban Links.
That was a good album, man.
And in Biggie's eyes now, John Cheetham's now earning the title of Best Boy after that.
Do you know what? I think we can officially call him
there, isn't he? He's getting there.
Alex at 79 UK says, Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction.
Banger. Solid banger.
Jonathan Blow with Braid.
I love Braid.
Which is a video game, not an album.
Love Braid.
Makes it sound like the second album that he's given there. Back to albums, 9 Inch Nails, Pretty Hate Machines.
Used to frighten me.
Trent Reznor just in your dreams, isn't he?
He frightens me. I think he's here now. Oh, Trent, go away.
But shit you up when you played Doom 3, just the opening menu.
He did. He's here.
And one more game from Alex 79 UK, Heart Machines, Hyperlight Drifter, which I will say that's a fucking banger.
I've still got to play that, you know.
Oh, you'll love it.
I know, I've been told.
Indie Dark Souls with a vaporwave aesthetic.
Oh. Feed it into me. I'm going to play that tomorrow.
Make that your next stream game.
Ooh, yeah.
Pete Beckett's come in saying, Dream Theater's first album, When Dream and Day Unite. It showed the technical ability of each musician fantastically well. While it's not as heavy as their subsequent efforts, it's a piece of glorious 80s prog greatness and an excellent debut album.
It's super progressive, that album.
It's also super cheesy as well, and it doesn't have their main vocalist, James LeBry, on it. It's a bit cheesy in places, but it's quite wonderful in the weirdest way.
Agreed.
That F-King guy has come in with Chuck Palahniuk, Fight Club. We don't talk about that.
No, we don't. I found that book quite difficult to read when I first read it. I've read it subsequently afterwards, but I found it a bit difficult. Same, I did that with Trainspotting as well. Trainspotting were like reading hieroglyphics half of the time. So, but yeah,
just you saying that, and I don't know why this made me think of it, but do you remember those anti-piracy things that you used to get at the beginning of VHS?
Yeah,
And then the guy's gone up to the guy in the marketplace with his dodgy VHS and says, "Well, I can't understand a word that's going on in the film." He looks at it and says, "Train spotting, I'm not surprised."
Yeah. Piracy is a crime. Would you steal a car? Why steal a movie?
Would you download a car?
Yeah.
Oh, the IT version of that one's so good.
Ray has come in saying, "Hi, Modern Escapism. Since there is not any other game registered under Chance Agency, I assume NeoCab is the first work of the studio. If this is true, the game is a strong self-introduction. Visual novels are all about choosing dialogue to further the story. However, this practice eventually conditions gamers into guessing the logical answers. By applying a simple colour system, emotion is introduced as a gameplay element for NeoCab. As a result, frequently speaking against your heart to please the listener will only push you into a negative emotional state, preventing the protagonist from making certain responses. By restricting rushing to the next story bits, the game slows down its pace, giving gamers time to empathise with those characters, and submerging in its wonderful writing, soft soundtrack, as well as reflection for how to stay human under the expansion of technology. Though still a relatively unknown game, for me, NeoCab is the most memorable debut recently, and I'm looking forward to what the newly formed studio will produce in the future." That sounds bloody interesting.
It does, doesn't it? When you first said digital novel, I nearly fell asleep, but then just everything else after that, I was like, "Oh, okay."
The thing is, visual novels have a really bad rap, but some of them are fucking.
And some of them
like,
shouldn't be described as visual novels either. Some of them have a lot more to it.
Yeah. But like Doki Doki Literature Club is fucking hilarious.
Oh, yeah,
and dark and
I played that.
Weird and scary. And Hatoful Boyfriend, which is the pigeon dating simulator, that's just...
What? That's a thing?
It's a thing. Kane and Rince
that was a free PlayStation Plus game as well.
Hatoful Boyfriend.
Yeah, it was. Hatoful Boyfriend.
I'm up for that.
It's fucking mental and also dark as shit.
Yeah.
It's so dark in places.
Okay.
But yeah, this NeoCab, I'll give it a look. I'll hop on Steam and see what it's all about.
I'm up for that.
Last one up this week, we've got Nimrod Hicks bringing in the late entries. Dear Mainly Eloquent, I haven't listened to last week's pod yet, but given it was the first in ages I didn't contribute to, I'm going to give it a solid 7 out of 10. Not bad, but lacked a little something. For debuts, I give you Jonathan Woodgate at Real Madrid.
Yes.
Unveiled to a great fanfare, he scored an own goal and then got sent off. Legend.
That's how you become a legend.
I forgot about that.
What a debut.
Fucking hell. But yeah, that's the mailbag this week.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone, for writing in. And I think that firmly leads us into the socials and a preview of what's going to be coming next week from Stig.
Yep, so you can find us on Twitter at Modern Escapism. On there, you'll find a link to our episodes, socials, and our Discord. If you have any comments, you can either tweet us or email us at modernescapismpod@gmail.com. If you like to watch gaming streams, you can come watch us at twitch.tv/modernescapism. Saturdays or Fridays. Depending on
Wednesdays, Thursdays, Mondays.
Whenever you see it pop up on live, Oodles might play some Vanquish.
I don't know if I'm going to continue with Vanquish, truth be told.
Oh, really?
It was a bit hardcore. Frantic. And
too much shooty via bang bang.
I don't know. I don't know if I am or not yet. But we'll see. I've got other things in mind, but we'll see.
Like Bioshock 2? Bioshock Infinite?
Maybe.
And then on Mondays, Biggie will carry on Biggie Dies as he carries on his playthrough through Dark Souls. And if there's no technical hiccups, Gadget and I will actually be on Hivebusters.
You've had so much bad luck, you two, with your streams.
Yeah, we might have already finished it by the time this comes out, but
maybe.
you never know. We might carry on. But yeah, we last week we went to start it, and Gadget's Xbox thing said this is downloaded, and when he loaded up the game, it said it wasn't downloaded. So
yeah,
we played some.
But for some reason, on my hard drive, on my PC, there was a missing 60 gig because there was 60 gig being taken up by Gears 5.
Weird, that, isn't it? It's weird.
Yeah. And then I opened up the game and it says, "Oh, you've got to download 60 gig to play this." I'm like, "Fuck you, Microsoft! Fuck you so much."
But we played Knockout City, and
the Jewel of the Fates was born.
It was,
absolutely.
But, yeah, that was a lot of fun when it was just us four playing.
Good game, innit?
I wasn't too keen when we were playing randoms because I couldn't figure out kind of what I was doing. But when I got to grips with how to do stuff, when it was just us guys playing against each other, that was
some lovely clips from that, haven't we?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to do another one of those at some point.
Uldur's not figuring out that he was holding a bomb. And
My favourite
Yeah, I need to watch
How was
that.
I
I don't
supposed to
see
know if
that
the
yet.
ball's ticking, counting down, there's a bomb?
I think we went through every emotion, didn't we?
Definitely emotional.
And of course, we also did get Candy's absolutely perfect, spot-on impression of Oodles' accent.
No.
Yeah, it was.
It was terrible.
I'll wait for my Oscar nomination.
Terrible.
you can have a biggie.
Yeah, definitely.
No better accolade.
Also, coming up this weekend, E3 coverage starts, and we're going to be doing some stuff on our Twitch, I believe, regarding that.
Yeah.
So,
most of the main ones we're going to try and cover as watch-alongs and probably just basically hearing me scream for an hour and a half on each one, or Candy screaming when Todd turns up, and Gadget screaming when some weird PC game turns up that no one's ever heard of.
Yeah, I'm fully waiting for the Nintendo one to be there and they say, "Oh, new Switch Pro exclusive requirement for Dragon Quest 4," and watch you die inside.
Yeah.
they won't say that. There is no Switch Pro coming. They will rock up and go, "We've got some new hardware," and they'll reveal a couple of coloured Joy-Cons.
Joy-Con Pros.
Yeah, Joy-Cons in the colour of Bowser. And that's it.
Boy.
Then they'll walk off.
Walk off patting the bums like the Asda price.
Yeah, we did it, boys. We did it.
We did it. But yeah, it's going to be exciting because it's going to be his first big event that we're just going to be like covering most of it. We've got some. Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Yep. And you could, if you head over to patreon.com/modernescapism, you'll find our 3 tiers there for the specials. It's £5 for Modern Escapees. That gets you at least one special a month and extended weekly episodes. £5 for Scorched Sheep, and that will get you early access to Scorched Sheep as well as artwork and suggestions. Ad-free and suggestions to Gadget for NPCs and items.
I'm worried about that. I'm getting worried about that.
Yeah.
I really am.
Or if you want to go all out, £7.50 will get you the Biggie bundle, and that'll get you everything.
It's the best deal known to man.
So next week, finally, we are going to do Best TV Jerks.
Yeah. People have been waiting for this.
we're going to have a bit of fun about it. Not baddies, but jerks. Just absolute bellends.
We're not talking about evil.
TV. Yeah.
Knobheads.
The ones you love to hate kind of thing as well. Like, just people who are just, bellends.
Think Mike Baldwin from Coronation Street. Knobhead.
And as ever, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or whether you listen to us.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And that is the show for now. I think we can all agree that it was Candy's finest debut she's ever had. So
thank you very much.
You've absolutely knocked it out of the park. And we will see you next week. Good night. Lovely, that guy's lovely. I don't even go for a poo today anyway, so I'm not going for one now. Fucking hell. I'll have the black shits if I go now.